Somewhere out there, someone needs me. I don't know how or where.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe wasn't just a cartoon. Flying boulders and morals landing like anvils. But behind the power pose, the rulebook kept tightening. Censors, syndication, and shelves full of plastic heroes on every living room.
By the power of Grayskull!
These are 10 wild facts about He-Man, tucked behind the muscle flexes and the laser blasts. Fact 1. First toy-based syndication. He-Man rewrote the playbook before anyone knew there was a playbook. When Filmation pitched their blonde barbarian in 1983, they weren't just selling a cartoon, they were peddling the future of children's television. He-Man became the first syndicated show ever based on a toy line, like a contract written in plastic and Saturday morning dreams. The studios thought it was backwards. Shouldn't the show come first, then the merchandise? Mattel and Filmation had other plans. They turned the traditional model inside out, proving that sometimes the tail can wag the dog, especially when the tail has 18-inch biceps and a power sword. The gamble paid off bigger than Castle Grayskull itself.
Maybe she's hiding.
Fact 2. Skeletor and Battlecat share a voice. Alan Oppenheimer pulled off television's most schizophrenic performance without breaking character. Every week, audiences watched Skeletor hatch his latest scheme to conquer Castle Grayskull, his voice dripping with megalomaniacal menace and bone-faced fury.
I can't remember when I've had a more pleasant day.
Minutes later, they'd hear Battlecat roar his loyalty to He-Man,
Maybe she's hiding.
Good thinking, Battlecat.
or watch the cowardly Cringer cower behind Prince Adam's legs. Same vocal cords, completely different personalities. Alan Oppenheimer voiced both the show's primary villain and its most beloved animal companion, like a one-man psychological war between good and evil. The irony ran deeper than Snake Mountain's dungeons. Skeletor spent every episode trying to destroy He-Man, while Cringer's alter ego carried the hero into battle. Oppenheimer had to hate himself and love himself simultaneously, 5 days a week. Talk about range that would make even Evil Lynn jealous.
I held aloft my magic sword and said,
By the power...
Fact 3. ABC passed, NatP sale. Even network executives can miss a golden opportunity. ABC took one look at He-Man and passed faster than a speeding Battlecat. The network suits couldn't see past their own programming prejudices. Another sword and sorcery cartoon seemed like a dead end in 1983. But Filmation had backup plans thicker than Prince Adam's secret identity. They marched their muscular hero straight to the 1983 NATPE conference, where independent stations were hungry for content that could fill afternoon slots and move merchandise. The indie stations saw what ABC missed: a blonde warrior who could sell toys and capture eyeballs. Sometimes the best revenge is syndication success.
Substantially adjusting our rules to match the realities of the modern marketplace.
Fact 4. FCC rule change enabled it. Timing in Hollywood is everything, especially when the government clears the path. Before He-Man could flex his animated muscles, the Federal Communications Commission had to loosen its grip on toy-based programming. For years, their regulations strangled any show that dared to mix entertainment with merchandising, like a watchdog with trust issues. Then the FCC relaxed its ban on toy-based children's programming, and suddenly the floodgates opened. Filmation and Mattel were waiting in the wings with their blonde barbarian, ready to charge through that regulatory gap. The timing was perfect, almost suspiciously so. One rule change, and an entire generation of kids would grow up shouting power incantations.
but how do I get there to bring them back?
Fact 5. Adam's transformation ritual. Every superhero needs a calling card. He-Man's just happened to echo through every playground in America. "I have the power" became the most quoted incantation of the 80s, shouted by kids from coast to coast like a battle cry for the sandbox generation. But Prince Adam's transformation ritual served a deeper purpose than just flexing animated muscles. The writers needed a consistent bridge between the mild-mannered prince and his barbaric alter ego, something theatrical enough to sell the change, simple enough for children to remember. The power sword pointed skyward, lightning crashed, and suddenly a wimpy royal became the most powerful man in the universe. Every episode, same ritual, same result. Consistency was He-Man's real superpower.
Venture with the great detective Sherlock Holmes, a comedy, anything.
Fact 6. Episodes end with a moral. Nothing says cartoon adventure like a life lesson delivered by a guy in a fur loincloth.
Drugs don't make your problems go away. They just create more.
Every episode of He-Man concluded with the same formula. Our hero would appear on screen, sometimes still holding his power sword or petting Battle Cat, and deliver a moral lesson directly to the audience. The messages were classic Saturday morning fare. Sharing is caring. Honesty is the best policy. Don't judge people by their appearance. Wisdom that even the sorceress would approve of. These moral segments served as armor against critics who accused the show of being nothing more than a 30-minute toy commercial masquerading as children's entertainment. Hard to criticize a defender of Castle Grayskull who spent time teaching kids to be better people, even if those same kids immediately rushed out to buy He-Man action figures. The strategy worked. Parents felt better about their children watching a show that promoted positive values, while kids got their weekly dose of sword and sorcery adventure. Everybody won, except maybe Skeletor's reputation as a role model.
Who's the big guy with the muscle?
Fact 7. UK ad ban during broadcasts. British regulations had sharper teeth than Skeletor's grin. While American kids watched He-Man pummel bad guys and then rushed to buy He-Man action figures, their British counterparts faced a different reality. UK advertising regulations forbade commercials for He-Man toys to accompany the program, like a firewall between entertainment and commerce. The Brits weren't buying Filmation's moral lesson defense. They saw the show for what it was and built barriers accordingly. British children could watch the muscular hero save Eternia, but they couldn't be immediately bombarded with ads trying to sell them pieces of that world. Sometimes regulatory wisdom cuts both ways, protecting kids while potentially limiting their imaginative play. The eternal parent's dilemma, wrapped in international broadcast law. Fact 8. Action limits on violence. Even the most powerful man in the universe had to follow the rules. He-Man carried the most intimidating sword in cartoon history, but censorship standards kept it mostly decorative. The character could throw punches and body slam monsters, but drawing that blade meant walking into a regulatory minefield. Standards and practices allowed him to hit people within reason, but couldn't let him slice and dice his way through problems like his barbaric ancestors. The sword became a glorified club, a symbol of power neutered by network nervousness. Ironic twist, the warrior who could move mountains with his bare hands was handcuffed by invisible policies. Sometimes the mightiest weapon is also the most restricted one.
And you want me to pass through it and find someone in the world it leads to?
I would go myself.
Fact 9. Film launched She-Ra spin-off. The secret to franchise expansion: give your hero a long-lost twin with her own magical transformation. He-Man's 1985 theatrical movie wasn't just a big-screen adventure for existing fans. It was a carefully orchestrated launchpad for the Masters of the Universe's next phase. The film served as the introduction for She-Ra, Princess of Power, revealing that Prince Adam had a twin sister who'd been kidnapped as a baby and raised by the evil Horde on another planet. Princess Adora came complete with her own transformation sequence, her own talking horse companion instead of a battle cat, her own magical sword, and most importantly, her own toy line,
that could appeal to the girl demographic He-Man had largely ignored. The movie essentially doubled the franchise's potential audience, while providing a logical explanation for why these incredibly powerful twins had been separated. Business strategy disguised as family reunion, like discovering the sorceress had a sister running her own magical kingdom in another dimension.
Of year 2, we got no notes from Warner Brothers. They left us alone. It was benign neglect. They didn't promote us. They didn't.
Fact 10. Future notable writers' early work. Sometimes tomorrow's television legends cut their teeth on today's toy commercials. Behind He-Man's simple morality tales lurked a writer's room that read like a who's who of future television royalty. J. Michael Straczynski would later create Babylon 5, one of science fiction's most complex space operas. Paul Dini would help define Batman the Animated Series and bring psychological depth to Gotham's rogues gallery. Bryn Stevens, Larry DiTillio, and David Wise would each carve out their own corners of genre television, crafting stories that made audiences think as much as they entertained. But first, they had to figure out how to make a muscle-bound hero teach children about friendship and honesty in 22 minutes flat. Every master storyteller needs an origin story. Apparently, some of them involve power swords and moral lessons. The best writers can make magic out of any material, even when that material is designed to sell action figures.
Red letter sale! All CBS cassettes have red lettering right here, and they're all on sale! So when you see
Soundtrack releases timeline. Some music takes 30 years to find its proper audience. He-Man's soundtrack had a release schedule more mysterious than Skeletor's master plans. A soundtrack album surfaced in France and Argentina in 1984, like buried treasure that only certain countries could find. American fans waited and wondered why they couldn't buy the music that powered their favorite barbarians' adventures. The answer finally came in 2015, when La La Land Records released a comprehensive 2-disc collection that included everything collectors had been hunting for 3 decades. Sometimes the best things come to those who wait, especially if they're willing to wait 31 years. Think you know everything about Eternia's mightiest warrior? Drop a comment and tell us which fact surprised you most. Or share your own He-Man memory that'll make us nostalgic for Saturday mornings past.